Something unusual happened in Cleveland, and it didn't start on the field. It started the moment a familiar figure walked through the Browns facility like he owned the building. On the eve of a matchup already packed with storylines, #1 pick Cam Ward facing off against 5th-round underdog Shedeur Sanders. Deion Sanders showed up, and the entire atmosphere shifted instantly. This wasn't a scheduled visit. This wasn't a media tour. This was primetime walking into Cleveland, unannounced, greeting players, cracking jokes, moving through hallways as if he'd been part of the organization for years. And the craziest part? Everyone stopped what they were doing to acknowledge him. Coaches, players, staff, people gravitated toward him the moment he stepped in. But the real spark came from one moment. One brief interaction that instantly went viral. Deion Sanders and Kevin Stefanski crossing paths, exchanging a quick handshake that lasted barely 10 seconds. A second, yet carried more weight than anything either of them said publicly. People froze the footage, zoomed in, analyzed their expressions, and kept asking the same question. What did they say to each other? Because with rumors swirling about Stefanski's future, whispers about whether he's holding back Shedeur's full potential, and even chatter about other coaches, this tiny encounter suddenly felt like a clue, a signal, a shift in the energy surrounding this team. And all of this unfolded before the game even kicked off. So now the question is simple but loaded. Did Prime pull up just to see his son? Or did his presence send a message the entire league needs to pay attention to? Whatever the answer is, one thing's clear. This wasn't just a normal day in Cleveland. It was the beginning of a story everyone wants to unravel. On paper, the matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans shouldn't feel historic. One team fighting for relevance, the other trying to prove its early season success isn't a fluke. But this game carries a completely different weight, not because of standings, not because of playoff implications, but because of the two quarterbacks standing at the center of it all. Cam Ward, the polished, heavily hyped #1 overall pick, the quarterback who was supposed to transform Tennessee the moment he arrived. The player analysts projected as the most NFL-ready talent in the 2025 draft. He entered the league with expectations wrapped around him like armor. Unavoidable, heavy, and impossible to escape. Across from him, Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick by number, but never by talent. A quarterback many believed should have gone on day one. A player whose draft slide still sparks debates online, with fans insisting he was underestimated because of narratives, not performance. And now he enters this matchup with momentum, confidence, and a fan base that already sees him as the future. That alone would make this game fascinating, but the timing adds another layer entirely. This isn't week 10 or week 14 when the season's patterns are clear. This is early, when reputations are still forming and quarterbacks are still defining who they are. One misstep can create doubt. One breakout can alter a franchise's trajectory, and both young quarterbacks know that. For Cam Ward, this game represents validation, proof that he deserved the top pick, proof that Tennessee was right to trust him, proof that the spotlight fits him. For Shedeur, it's another chance to flip the script and show the league what it overlooked. Every snap becomes a test. Every throw feels like a statement. And then, layered over all of this, is the unexpected presence of Deion Sanders, whose arrival adds pressure, energy, and an entirely new dimension to the matchup. Suddenly, this isn't just a big football game. It's a stage, a moment, a chance for two emerging quarterbacks to claim space in a league that only remembers greatness. But the real twist is simple. All of this pressure arrived before kickoff. And as the night unfolded, it became clear that this wasn't just the eve of a matchup. It was the calm before a storyline that would explode beyond the field. The moment Deion Sanders stepped into the Browns facility, the entire atmosphere shifted. It didn't matter that Cleveland was preparing for a high-pressure matchup. It didn't matter that coaches were finalizing game day details or that players were locked into their routines. The second Coach Prime walked through those doors, the energy snapped into something electric, something you could almost feel through the screen. He wasn't loud, he wasn't dramatic. He didn't even act like he was making a grand entrance. Yet somehow, he still owned the room, the way only Deion Sanders can. Well-off media's footage captured it perfectly. Prime strolling through the hallways with the confidence of someone who's been part of the organization for years. Jokes flying, players smiling, conversations flowing. Everyone wanted a moment with him. David Njoku lit up like a kid seeing his favorite celebrity. He and Shedeur exchanged jokes about playing together in college, with Njoku saying it would have been lights out. Even that small interaction felt like a peek into the chemistry forming around Shedeur. Players gravitating toward him, comfortable around him, vibing in a way that doesn't happen with every rookie quarterback. But the most powerful thing wasn't the laughter. It was the way Deion's presence elevated the entire building. It was the way people reacted to him, not as a visitor, but as someone who carried an aura the team naturally respected. He stepped in like a mentor, a father, a legend, and somehow all three at once. And that's what makes his arrival so intriguing. Because Deion wasn't just there to see his son. He wasn't filming a documentary or making a media appearance. He showed up on the eve of a game loaded with pressure and symbolism. Shedeur versus the #1 pick. A rookie storyline the NFL has been watching closely. And when a figure like Prime shows up at that exact moment, people notice. Some fans immediately wondered if he came with a message. Others speculated he was there to push the staff to unleash Shedeur without hesitation. None of it is confirmed, but the buzz grew instantly. Because with Prime, nothing is ever random. And the moment he stepped into that facility, you could feel the story shifting. Something bigger was coming. Out of everything captured on camera that day, the laughter, the handshakes, the energy, nothing hit the internet harder than one brief, blink and you miss it moment, the encounter between Deion Sanders and Kevin Stefanski. No long conversation, no dramatic gestures, no headline-ready quotes, just a handshake, a few quiet words, and two men who both hold influence over Shedeur Sanders' future, crossing paths at a time when every decision in Cleveland is under a microscope. But sometimes the smallest moments create the biggest shockwaves. When well-off media posted the clip, fans immediately paused, rewound, slowed it down, and zoomed in. People studied body language like they were watching a political summit. And the questions started pouring in. What did they say? Why did Stefanski look like that? Why did Prime smile that way? That tiny exchange turned into a full-blown internet investigation. Rumors started brewing instantly. Some fans speculated that Deion was sending a message, subtle but clear, about unleashing Shedeur and trusting him fully. Others believed Stefanski seemed uneasy, almost like the weight of Prime's presence hit him harder than expected. A few even joked that Stefanski looked like a man who suddenly remembered the never just a handshake. And for Cleveland fans, that brief exchange raised a question that would hang over the next morning's game. Was this the start of major changes or the calm before Stefanski's biggest test yet? As soon as the footage of Deion Sanders and Kevin Stefanski surfaced, a different conversation exploded online, one that had been quietly building for weeks. Fans weren't just talking about the handshake anymore. They were questioning whether Stefanski was actually giving Shedeur Sanders the freedom he deserved in this offense. And with Prime physically standing inside the building, that long-standing debate suddenly felt impossible to ignore. Cleveland supporters have watched this team long enough to know when a quarterback is being held back. They've seen conservative play calling, questionable red zone decisions, and entire drives built like the coaching staff is afraid to let the young QB take command. And when you combine that with Shedeur's natural poise, accuracy, and football IQ, the contrast becomes difficult to overlook. People have been asking for weeks why the Browns keep playing safe when their most dynamic weapon is standing right behind center. Deion's unexpected visit turned those whispers into a chorus. Almost immediately, fans began speculating that Prime wasn't just there to support his son. He was there to send a message, a subtle reminder that Shedeur thrives when he's allowed to lead, not when he's confined to a script. Some wondered whether Stefanski felt that pressure in the moment, especially with unverified reports circulating about his job security. Others pointed out that this is the same head coach who's faced criticism for over-controlling his quarterbacks in the past. Again, these are rumors, not facts, but the timing made them feel bigger. And then came the conversation about the training wheels. Fans on social media claimed the offense still looks cautious, like Stefanski is trying to protect Shedeur instead of unleashing him. They questioned why certain plays aren't being called, why the tempo isn't faster, and why a quarterback with Shedeur's arm talent isn't being trusted to take more shots down the field. The speculation only intensified when people remembered a pattern in Stefanski's past. He often sticks to his system, even if it doesn't maximize the strengths of the quarterback running it. So now, with Prime in the building and the spotlight burning hotter than ever, fans were left wondering, is Stefanski coaching to win or coaching not to lose? And more importantly, if Shedeur is clearly ready for more responsibility, is the head coach the one holding him back? As kickoff approached, that question hung over Cleveland like a cloud. Just when the Stefanski conversation was reaching its boiling point, a new wave of speculation hit Cleveland like a storm. Reports began circulating, unconfirmed, but loud enough to catch everyone's attention, that former NFL head coach John Gruden could be stepping into the Browns facility in 2026 to take over offensive duties. It didn't take long before fans connected the dots, the timing and the tension. Suddenly, the handshake with Deion Sanders wasn't the only moment people were analyzing. As soon as the rumor surfaced, social media ignited. Some fans saw it as a potential solution, arguing that Gruden's aggressive, quarterback-focused philosophy might be exactly what Shedeur Sanders needs. Others felt the opposite, pointing out Gruden's controversial past and wondering whether the organization was ready to bring in a figure who attracts scrutiny wherever he goes. But regardless of which side people landed on, one thing was clear. The rumor shifted the conversation from "Is Stefanski holding Shedeur back?" to "Is Stefanski even part of the long-term plan?" Again, nothing about the Gruden talk is confirmed, but rumors suggest the Browns have been exploring major offensive changes if the current system doesn't evolve. A handful of insiders even claimed, again unverified, that key decision-makers want a coach who will fully unlock Shedeur's strengths, rather than keep him inside a conservative box. It's not hard to see why fans latched onto that idea. The timing feels too interesting to ignore. The buzz grew even louder when people revisited Stefanski's history of carefully structured offenses. Some believe Shedeur's talent could outgrow the system faster than Stefanski could adapt. Others speculated that Deion's presence in the facility, combined with the swirling Gruden rumors, might be a sign that the organization is already thinking ahead. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. Because these whispers aren't about one game or one decision. They're about the future. Architecture of the Browns, about whether this team wants a coach who plays it safe or a coach who leans into Shedeur's explosive potential. About whether the franchise is preparing to transition into an era built around their young quarterback, rather than forcing him into an outdated mold. As kickoff approached, fans weren't just talking about matchups or score predictions. They were debating the future of the entire coaching staff. And all it took was one rumor to shake the ground beneath Cleveland's feet. Behind all the speculation, coaching rumors, and viral clips, there was another part of Deion Sanders' visit that told a completely different story. One that didn't involve strategy or tension, but something far more revealing. The genuine chemistry surrounding Shedeur inside the Browns' locker room. And the moment the cameras caught David Njoku hanging around Shedeur and Prime, fans instantly realized there was a deeper connection forming within the team. Njoku wasn't just happy to see Deion. He lit up. He joked about how dangerous he and Shedeur would have been if they had teamed up back at Colorado. "Lights out," he said, with zero hesitation. That one line sent fans into a frenzy. It was playful, but it spoke volumes. Players don't fantasize about playing with a rookie unless they believe in him, unless they trust him, unless they see something special. And that's where the real story begins. Because these interactions weren't stiff or awkward, they were natural, comfortable, almost effortless. You could see Shedeur blending into the fabric of the team, not like a newcomer trying to earn his place, but like someone who already belonged. Veterans respected him. Teammates gravitated toward him. Prime's presence didn't overshadow him. It amplified him. This wasn't a locker room tolerating its rookie quarterback. It was a locker room embracing him. And yet, the what if, the moment still lingered. As the jokes died down and the cameras rolling, fans started wondering, if a team already believes in Shedeur this deeply, what happens if the coaching staff finally lets him run the offense without restrictions? What happens if the version of Shedeur these players see every day is unleashed on Sundays? That idea alone added a new layer of anticipation to the game ahead. Because chemistry like this doesn't form by accident. Confidence like this isn't manufactured. This is what happens when a young quarterback earns respect with his presence, not just his play. And when his teammates respond with the kind of loyalty usually reserved for the established veterans, it signals something bigger. A shift in leadership happening right in front of a league. So while analysts debated draft positions and fans dissected Stefanski's body language, the players were showing us the truth the entire time. Shedeur wasn't just fitting into the locker room. He was quietly becoming its center. As all the clips circulated online and the speculation around Kevin Stefanski grew louder, a new question began echoing through Browns fans everywhere. One that felt far more urgent than draft drama or coaching rumors. Is this finally the game where Shedeur Sanders gets unleashed? Because with Prime standing in the building, with the players rallying around their young quarterback, and with the pressure building on Stefanski, the timing felt anything but accidental. For weeks, fans have watched flashes of brilliance from Shedeur, only to see the offense pulled back into conservative shells. Screens, short throws, predictable runs, drives that feel scripted rather than instinctive. And every time Shedeur showed signs of breaking out, it felt like the coaching staff reeled him back in, preferring safety over momentum. But now, the atmosphere surrounding this game feels entirely different. The Titans may be a one-win team, but they're dangerous enough to expose a timid offensive approach. Cam Ward is aggressive, Tennessee is unpredictable, and a high-pressure matchup between two young quarterbacks can shift quickly. One bold decision can set the tone. Fans know this, analysts know this, and Stefanski definitely knows this, which is why Deion's sudden appearance added a spark no one could ignore. Reports claim Prime didn't come to interfere, but the mere presence of a legendary figure who built his career on fearlessness has a way of influencing the room. The players felt it, the cameras captured it, and the fan base interpreted it as a sign. This might be the moment Cleveland stops playing cautious football and starts trusting Shedeur to take full command. Because that's the real story here. Not whether Shedeur is talented enough, but whether the coaching staff is ready to treat him like the quarterback the locker room already believes he is. Njoku's comments, the players' reactions, the energy circulating around the facility. Every Browns facility wasn't about a handshake or a joke, or even the upcoming game. It was about momentum shifting right before our eyes. Deion Sanders didn't just show up, he set a tone. His presence elevated the players, drew energy out of the building, and amplified every conversation happening around the team. Suddenly, people weren't just analyzing matchups, they were analyzing power dynamics, coaching decisions, locker room chemistry, potential transformations within the organization. And the deeper you dig, the more undeniable it becomes that Cleveland is standing at a crossroads. On one side, you have Kevin Stefanski, a coach under growing scrutiny, navigating rumors, weighing expectations, and trying to protect a young quarterback while fighting for his own job security. On the other side, you have Shedeur, a rookie with the confidence of a veteran, the support of his teammates, and a father whose influence stretches far beyond them walls of any building he walks into. Add in the unverified buzz about John Gruden, and suddenly the Browns' offensive future feels like a question with multiple possible answers. But underneath all the speculation lies the most intriguing part of the story: the rise of Shedeur himself. This wasn't just a kid preparing for a game. This was a player stepping into a role larger than his draft slot, larger than the narratives around him, and larger than the expectations placed on rookies. His connection with teammates, his growing respect in the locker room, and the electricity he brings to the field. Those are the signals of a quarterback becoming the center of a franchise. And that's why this moment matters. Because no matter how the game unfolds, no matter what decisions are made in the coming weeks, and no matter which rumors eventually fade, one truth is becoming impossible to ignore. A shift in Cleveland. A new voice is emerging. And the future of the Browns may have already walked through those doors, long before kickoff. How the organization responds could define everything that comes next.